Hi, I'm Dr. Karen Hills Pruden, and I am so excited. This is another episode of the Sister Leaders, the podcast. And so we have a great sister leader here on today. I cannot wait to hear all about what she has to share with you, and that is Crissy Johnson. Welcome to Sister Leaders, the podcast, Crissy Johnson.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So, to begin, tell the Sister Leaders podcast community what problem you solve. What is your business? What do you do in this space called life?
So, once again, my name is Crissy Johnson, and I'm also known as Product Label Queen. I specialize in product label designing and printing for natural health and beauty products. I basically help you solve your visibility issues when it comes to the online marketplace and also making sure that you're in compliance with the FDA so that you won't have any issues when you are marketing and selling your products. It is important that you are putting your products out there the correct way so that you can grow your brand legally. I'm also a childhood cancer advocate at MomAdvocate Foundation. We empower and educate and provide support and resources for childhood cancer families. And we do that by the way of our Fuel for the Journey program, which provides fuel and gas gift cards and grocery gift cards for those families that are in need and that are in active treatment. That is me, and that is what I do.
That is a lot. And so I am excited because that gives us a lot to kind of inquire about because you seem like you're using all of your talents here in this space called life. And so if I'm heard you correctly, you have two businesses, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. And so let's talk about each business. So let's talk about the product label queen first. Tell us about the product label queen. Where did this come from? How did it come into being? How did it even get started?
So the how it got started is in 2017, my son was diagnosed with cancer. He was 1 year old. While I was in the hospital with him, I was basically had my laptop. I didn't really able to go anywhere because he had to be inpatient. So I started designing like party favors and product labels just to keep my mind off of things and to help some of my friends brand their actual party. During that process, other people reach out to me and ask me if I can create their labels. I had no experience whatsoever, but I knew that I could create something for them. And so when I started creating those labels, then one of my customers said that I was the product label queen. That is sort of how my name came into play because I had a gift for labels, and that made me go and research and see what I needed to do to make sure that not only are we increasing visibility, but we're also making sure that our products are following the correct guidelines. And so that's kind of how Product Label Queen kind of started. And when my son reached remission status in 2020, that's when Product Label Queen launched right in the middle of a pandemic. But it's been on and going. It's been great. And now everyone calls me Product Label Queen. And that's kind of how it came to play.
So, correct me if I'm wrong. So, this was an activity that maybe you did as maybe a way of therapy or to take your mind off of things. So, was it a hobby that converted
Yes.
to a business?
Yes. So I am a really big crafter. So not only was I dabbing in labels, I was also doing custom party favors and t-shirts. Anything that I can do to create. I also bake as well. So I've always been in the creative space, and that kind of gave me a peace of mind for me to take my mind off of what was actually going on around me. It was actually therapy. I call it craft therapy because when you're creating, you're so focused on that one thing, not realizing that it's a form of therapy and it's helping you get through what you're going through at that moment.
That is awesome. And so, how did you know to start a legit business. So you took a hobby and it matured into a business. How did you know what steps to take to legitimize your business? Because you are a real business now. Can you explain to the podcast community how you educated yourself on what steps that you needed to take to formalize your business?
So first step is Google University. I started Googling information. I started asking questions and then trying to make sure. I knew the first step was a business license. I knew that I had to get that and actually register it with the IRS to make it legal. And for me, I wanted to take it one more step further because that name rings a bell and people kept calling me that. I wanted it to be mine, not only just because it's the name of my business, but I wanted to have ownership of it. So that's when I decided to trademark. So it just came from like researching and protecting my brand. You know, when you have this idea and you know that it's going to help people and it becomes a need, because I'm fulfilling a need and making sure that people are doing what they're supposed to be doing, because you can't put a product out there without having a label. So I'm solving a problem. So that's when I realized I got to go and get this stuff together. And I did meet with a CPA to check to make sure that my business was set up properly so that I can move forward. So just kind of like researching, asking questions, to see what I need to do to legalize it. And plus, it was a way for me to make money, in return, pay for my son's medical bills. So I had to make sure that it was legit all the way around.
I love that. I love that. So Google University, talking to people, experts. I heard you say CPA. I heard you not only did your research, but you went to experts as well.
Yes.
And how old is your business?
My business is 4.5 years old.
Okay. So that is great because, by year 5, the statistics say that by year 5, most businesses, 50% of those businesses are no longer in business. And so you're in year 4. So you are well on your way to making it to year 5. And so that is good. So let's talk about the tasks that are associated with running a business. So you are generally, when you are an entrepreneur, you are the chief everything, chief marketer, brander, worker, customer service. How do you know when it's time to, or have you had the experience of hiring other experts to help with your business so that you don't wear all those hats?
So when I realized that I was growing at a rapid speed and that it took more time for me to do more tasks, and I knew where my gift was, which was on the design side as well as customer service. So I was like, okay, it's time for me to take it to the next level. But I need help because I'm not sure what I need to let go. And that's when I hired a coach. And so a business coach was able to sit me down and look at my processes and said, okay, well, you can let go of this and you can outsource this to someone else. At first, you want to DIY everything, but you really can't grow if you try to do everything yourself. You have to have a team in order to grow. So that's when I just started to outsourcing things. What I found when I start outsourcing things to help me and to manage everything, I had more time. So delegating everything out and really focusing on what I need to grow my business is where my focus came. And that's when it started taking off, because now I'm focusing on this one thing and I don't have 20 other things that I have to do. Hire help when you need it, because you do need other people to build a team. A one-man show is not good because eventually you'll burn yourself out. You're doing customer service, you're doing the marketing, you're doing the advertising, you're doing the money financials. That's just a lot for one person. So for me, just realizing what I can hand off to a trusted individual, and then keeping the things that I know I'm good at.
I love that. How have systems help you? I am a big cheerleader of utilizing automation. and systems. What systems do you use in your business, and how do they assist you in processing when it comes to your business?
So my main system is Keep. That is a CRM. That system has a lot of bells and whistles, but it helps with the scheduling of my consultations. It also helps with the follow up. It also helps with leads. So making sure that I know where everyone is in the process. That's like my main system. And then I also have the website, Shopify. Shopify also has a way of tracking things for you as well. That system, as well as the Keep, is what my main two things that I use. And I also use like Canva, which is like my favorite thing as far as creating things out of it. You can kind of see everything. Canva also has an option where you can actually schedule your posts. I don't personally do that, but I know people that do from there. But I do use Facebook Business Suite to schedule all of my posts. You can schedule now 30 days at a time on each account that you have. And you can also repost things that you already posted on Facebook Business Suite, which is very easy. The Business Suite helps with Instagram as well as Facebook, which is where my two audiences are. And if your people are not on Facebook and Instagram, there are other systems that you can use to basically automate your business. But my emails is in automation. My design process is all in automation. So that it takes a big load off of me, and it kind of puts the customer through the system very easily, so you won't miss anyone and there won't be a breakdown in communication. So definitely a CRM if you don't have one. Facebook and Instagram Business Suite, and as well as your actual website.
I love that. And so, what is kind of akin, I call it maybe it's not the identical twin sister or brother, but it certainly is a twin to systems, is analytics. Analytics tell us a lot. It allows us to forecast, allows us to determine where we're going to spend our money, where we should stop spending our money. And tell the Sister Leaders podcast community, what role, if any, do analytics play in your business?
I use analytics on a daily because that tells us stories. Numbers don't lie. They tell you exactly what's happening, going on in your business. Another system I forgot to say is my accounting system, which is QuickBooks. Having that too as well in your business to check on your sales, your profit and loss, and all that good stuff. But the analytics side of it, it kind of tells you the whole story. So forecasting, okay, the person comes on my website, they sit on this page for 2 and 3 minutes. Why are they clicking off the page? Kind of telling that story about what's happening behind the scenes, or realizing what is your most sold product. You can see where that is, or how far people are going on your website. Looking at all of that, and Google Analytics is good as well too. It also gives you access to what's happening on your website for free. But analytics are very important, and I look at them daily to watch the trends. You can also tell, okay, this is the time of month that people shop the most, or this is the time of season that people shop the most. And you can kind of check and see, what should I be working on at this time of year based off of what your numbers were the previous year. And it just tells a whole story. It also helps you problem solve. If there's an issue in your business, if you're paying attention to the analytics, it'll tell you, okay, there's a probably in this area, we need to go ahead and look at this further and go deeper and figure out what the actual issue is.
I love that. I love that. So we covered systems and analytics. And so let's talk about growth and scaling. And so how do you prepare to grow? I'm sure at year 4, your business is a little bit different than it was at year 1. So talk about how you've grown your business, what different things that you've incorporated as you've grown, and what type of processes or things that you have to employ because of your growth.
So the CRM is a new thing that I had to get in my business. I didn't realize how important that was. and tracking who's coming in and who's not purchasing, kind of following that. That was an eye opener for me. And that's when I started to notice the growth, is because now I'm picking up the leads because now I know they're there. Like if you asked me before now how many leads I was getting, I would give you a number, but those numbers were based off of the people that actually fill out my design form, not the people that are actually kind of looking, but are not sure and haven't went to that next process. I will tell you, as you begin to grow, you start to evaluate what you're spending on your business, like your expenses. If it doesn't help you serve a client, keep a client, or get a client, then you don't need it. And that was one of the hardest things that I had to learn, is that I had all of these gadgets, all of these apps, but they were nice, but they weren't serving those three needs. So because they weren't serving those three needs, I had to get rid of them. That is an expense I need to get rid of. And also realizing how much you're spending on your actually materials and supplies. That also, as you start to grow, you want to make sure you keep the expenses low and make sure your profits are high. So looking at vendors and seeing who has the best price, who has the best software to help you. With my case, who has the best like materials as well as printers, because I have high commercial printers. And so as I start to grow, I require more printers. So making sure that I have access to that business credit. As you start to grow, you want to make sure you have access to, a line of credit or a business loan, business credit card, so that you can help grow your business, not with just the money that you're getting in. And that money can be used for other things. But having those resources as you grow is important, because when you start to scale, like you're scaling, and you want to make sure you have systems in place before you get to that point, because trying to put systems in place when you're scaling at a rapid pace is very dangerous. You'll start having issues with processing orders. There'll be a delay, or there will be customer complaints because they're so used to you getting back to them in a timely manner. Now it's taking you a little bit longer. But for me, as I started to grow, my processing time was 1 to 3 days. Now is 4 to 6 days. That allows me time to get things out and making sure that everyone gets the same customer service. Changing policies and procedures as you start to grow, you'll start to learn that certain things don't work. And so I reevaluate my systems every year. Fourth quarter, I look at everything. What do I need to change? What have I learned? What worked and what didn't work? Customer surveys. Start asking your customers what works and what doesn't work. And then once you do that, then you can kind of shift and change as you start to grow. So definitely rely on the people that you're currently serving to help you navigate through the growth.
Oh my goodness, you said a whole lot there. I love that. But I thought I heard a sound bite and something you said. If it doesn't help you get a customer, keep a customer. What was the third one?
Serve a customer.
Serve a customer. Get a customer, keep a customer, serve a customer. Then if it doesn't fit in one of those three buckets, then throw it away.
Throw it
away. And I like that, because I have a saying that if it doesn't help me make money, save money, or achieve my organizational goals, then throw it away. But I like that. Get a customer, keep a customer, serve a customer. So that I think that is going to be a powerful soundbite here. So you love this entrepreneurship journey so much so that you also have another business. So tell us about your other business.
So my passion is over at MomAdvocate Foundation. Because I was a mom going through this, I understand the struggle. And so I wanted to be able to be on both sides of the fence, to be able to give back to those families, because resources were limited. As we were going through my journey, being that me and my husband were working parents, we did not qualify for certain programs because it was income restricted, such as Medicaid, any type of government assistance, because we were over the limit. So with that happening, there were times where we would max out of certain benefits of getting help. I was still working, but even with working, you have all these copays. David's going to the doctor 4 and 5 times a week to get blood draws, to go ahead and make sure that he's getting the treatment that he needs, the checkups. And he had several different physicians. So one day we might be at the oncologist. The next day we might be at the kidney doctor. The next day we might be at the primary care. So juggling all of that, I realized that that was a lot. And there were times where I would choose not to eat to make sure that my son's medication was paid for, kind of stretch that food as much as possible. As moms and as parents, we think about our children and we're willing to sacrifice ourselves certain things for us to make sure that we have enough for them. And so when I was in that situation, I'm like, there's got to be other people that are experiencing this. And I found out that there were a lot of women doing this, a lot of moms doing that. And so I said, how can I do this to prevent this from happening? Because they can become very sick and they're not going to have enough energy for their journey because they're not taking care of themselves. They're not eating. So that's when the Fuel for the Journey program came up. So I thought of this amazing idea to give gift cards and for like groceries, and then also gift cards for fuel and gas. And I realized just from the first year that I did, I think we did 10 gift cards, and the families were so thankful. They were like, this came right on time. This is perfect. We can use this to get back and forth to the hospital. We don't have to worry about gas for that week. And so that is what made me do that. And realizing that I was going back and forth to the hospital several times a day because I had 3 other children at home, trying to juggle them, which required me to take food to them. It just got overwhelming. And so I was like, if I can just save one family for even for a day or 2 days, that is enough for me. And so that's kind of how that program came to part. Along with that, I realized the impact of imagination. David wore a Superman costume throughout his whole entire treatment. He came Superman. So I realized that he was able to distance himself about what was going on in the hospital and become this superhero. So we do the costume drive every single year for those children because they cannot enjoy the festivities. They cannot go outside of the hospital. So why not bring it to them? We're going to bring the costume so that they can experience being just a kid for a couple minutes, even for a day. It makes a big impact for them. And I think that creates strength and resilience for them. And that's kind of how our costume drive started. And so those 2 programs are under MomAdvocate, which allows me to give back to those families and pay it forward.
Oh, I love that. And how old is MomAdvocate? What year is this for MomAdvocate?
MomAdvocate is 4.5. MomAdvocate and Product Label Queen were birthed within months apart.
Wow, that is ambitious, and they're still going strong. So that is a testimony to your skills and your leadership competencies as well. And so let's go ahead and segue into talking about leadership. Obviously, right. you are a sister leader, a powerful sister leader. So what do you think are the top competencies of a successful female leader? What would you say are according to Crissy Johnson, are the top competencies? What do a successful female leader have to be successful?
Number 1 is communication skills. They have to be able to communicate effectively. The next skill you said skills, right?
Competencies, yes.
Yes. The next one would be, they would need to be detail oriented. You're going to be leading people. So it's important that you're detailed in your messaging, what you do as well, and making sure that everything is the way it's supposed to be. You're taking time to research and make sure the information is correct before putting it out there. And you're dealing with people that are underneath you, and they could, potentially follow in your footsteps. So you want to make sure that you're doing the right thing. The next thing I would have to say, they have to be able to delegate. Although you're a leader, you have to have someone else to help you, but at the same time, delegate those duties so that you can do what you do best, which is lead. And leading is a lot, especially when you have other things on your plate, but being able to delegate, communicate, and also be detail oriented.
I love that. And so as we close this interview, I could talk to you all day long because just you're a powerful sister leader. But a little birdie told me that you also have another talent that we haven't talked about. And so before you end this interview, and tell the Sister Leaders podcast community how they can stay connected to you, tell me about Crissy Johnson, the author.
Oh yeah. So that was another thing that was birthed out of my son's journey. That first book, Fighting for King David, is literally my journal. It's a journal, pieces of my journal that I was writing throughout his journey. I believe in getting things out and not keeping things in. So trying to communicate and say what I was dealing with, I couldn't describe it because it's the first time I've ever had these feelings about what was happening with my son. So I kind of documented. It's very transparent. It kind of takes you on their journey from diagnosis all the way up to radiation. So this book was published a year after he was in treatment. So David was in treatment for 4 years total. So yeah, a lot came out of the journey. I didn't realize my gifts and my talents with that. And so that was one book. And then I realized there were other moms that had other types of diagnosis with their children or other issues that they had. So that's when Residue of War came out. And Residue of War is an anthology with several women with their children that had experienced something with their child. There were a mom where her child had a stroke. There were one who had premature twins. So it just kind of talks about what they dealt with and the things that they had to overcome even through their child's journey. So that book was basically a way to help other women start their journey of writing. A lot of the women that were in that book were first-time authors, and they needed that. They felt relieved after putting it on paper because they had never written it out. They had never really talked about what happened, and that was very therapeutic. And that Residue of War is basically, I realized that I was still going through the war, but there was residue that was left behind. The residue was me feeling depressed, me feeling inadequate, me feeling overwhelmed, and just talking about all those things and how, like, when the smoke cleared, how I was able to see on the other side. So it's a very powerful, powerful, powerful book. And it is available on Amazon. You can also purchase it through MomAdvocate Foundation's website. And those are the two. And my newest project, which is getting ready to fully launch, is David's first children's book. It talks about superheroes as kids, and I'm excited about that book. It is going to be for sale really, really, really soon, and that is my latest project to date.
I love that. I love that. And so no need to ask what's on the horizon because we know something else is on the horizon because you are certainly a sister leader who uses her talents. And so tell the podcast community how they can stay in touch with you, even if they want to support you. What would that system be where they can support you? So share that information for the podcast community.
So one way you can support is by donating to MomAdvocate Foundation. We are on Facebook and Instagram, MomAdvocate Foundation, also website www.momadvocate.org. You can place a donation there, purchase a book. You can also volunteer. So that's another way to do that as well. You can also go on my personal page, Crissy Johnson. That's C-R as in rabbit, I-S-S-Y. Last name Johnson. You can share my posts that I post about my foundation and about my business because sharing is caring. You can also reach out to me and see how we can collaborate. Collaboration is amazing, it's good, and you never know that one collaboration can get you to your next level. So I'm open to collaboration as long as our values align, because I am a sister leader. So but yes, Crissy Johnson on Facebook. I'm also on Instagram, but my Instagram, I don't have a personal Instagram, but I do have a business Instagram, which is under Product Label Queen. You can find me there, and that's how you can reach me.
Awesome. So this has been very fulfilling and informative. I'm going to have to go back and take notes and look at it again, because you dropped some nuggets about how to sustain a business, how to scale a business, how to grow a business, when to bring in others. It was just like business 101. And so someone who is thinking about starting a business or thinking about sustaining their business, because of course, when we do get started, we want to be able to run that business for as long as we can run it or want to run it. And so sustainability definitely should be on our charts as well. And so I'm going to have to listen to this a couple of times. And so you have heard another episode of the Sister Leaders, the podcast, and today has been none other than the sister leader, Crissy Johnson. And so stay tuned for next Monday when we release another episode of Sister Leaders, the podcast. And of course, I am Dr. Karen Hills Pruden. I am the founder of the Sister Leaders community. Bye.
Bye.